Okay, question 8 is telling us information about the element calcium, which has got 3 types of atom. One is represented as shown. So if we have a look, we've got the symbol. We've got down here, we've got the atomic number. And at the top, the bigger number is the mass number. Okay, how many neutrons are present in the nucleus of this atom is question A, and for this one we have to actually calculate them. We can't tell just by looking. Okay, so 41, the mass number, tells us the total number of protons and neutrons, and then the atomic number tells us the number of protons. So if we take the 20 away from the 41, we're left with 21 neutrons. Okay, so just a reminder, the mass number is the protons and the neutrons added together. The atomic number tells us the number of protons and also the number of electrons. Okay, question B, we're just checking that we know which number is which. So what is the mass number of this atom? So you just take it straight from up there, and the mass number is 41. At question C, we have to talk about the electronic configuration, the electron arrangement of this atom. And obviously there's not much space, so we're not going to be drawing the diagram. I think we'll probably use a numerical version. So firstly, we need to know how many electrons are we trying to put in. So again, we go to our atomic number, and so we realize the atomic number tells us this. And the atomic number is 20, so we have 20 electrons to try and fit in. And then we need to think about how to do that. So the first shell contains 2 and then it's full. So we write 2 and then a comma. The next shell contains 8 and then it's full. So we've got 10 in so far. The next shell also contains 8 and then it's full. So now we've got 18. So the last shell will just contain 2. Okay, so we've got 2, 8, 8, 2 with commas in between them. At question D, we have to fully explain why the calcium atom has got no electrical charge, and this is worth 2 marks. And when I was marking these, what I found was a lot of people got 1 of the 2 marks but didn't get the second one. They didn't fully explain. Lots of people wrote down and realized that the number of protons is equal to the number of electrons in an atom. Okay, and they said that's why it has no electrical charge, because the protons and the electrons are equal. So if you have 4 protons, you also have 4 electrons. What they didn't say was why that was important, and that's because each proton has a +1 charge and each electron has a -1 charge. So you need to really give that information as well in order to fully explain. So one of the marks is saying protons and electrons are equal in an atom, the number of them are equal, and the second mark was explaining that protons have a +1 charge and electrons have a -1 charge. Okay, question E, the 3 different types of calcium atoms are called isotopes of calcium. What is different about the structures of these 3 types of calcium atom? And again, we've got 2 marks here. Right, the main difference that you should realize is that they have different numbers of neutrons. You can tell this because they have different mass numbers. So they have different numbers of neutrons. Okay, they have different mass numbers because of that. Okay, and the other important point that you should also realize about them is that they have the same number of protons. That does not change. Okay, that's important as well. Okay, question F. Below is shown the percentage abundance of each isotope in a sample of natural calcium. Calculate the relative atomic mass. Okay, now I always think of relative atomic mass as like the average mass of an atom in a sample. Okay, and we've got 3 marks to do this. So one thing I would definitely say is please try and make sure you show your calculations, because sometimes if you give an answer and it's wrong, you might have actually picked up some marks on the way for your calculations. So try and write it all out. Okay, now when I do this, I always imagine I have 100 atoms, and I think, okay, how much is each percentage of the atom, how much is that going to weigh? So I know 80% of the atoms, their mass number is 40. So we do 80 times 40. Okay, and then we've got 15%, okay, which weigh 41. Okay, so 15% times 41. And we've got 5% that weigh 42. So we're going to have 5 times 42. Okay, now if I just work all these out, get some answers for you. Okay, so my calculator, so 80 times 40 is 3,200. 15 times 41 is 615. Okay, and 5 times 42 is 210. Now you want to find out the total mass of those atoms together. So if you add all of those together, your total is equal to plus 4,025. And then if you want to find the relative atomic mass, so remember I told you to think of it a bit like an average. So if you have 100 atoms, we want to know the average mass of an atom. So you have to take that total and you have to divide it by 100. Okay, and so your answer, if you do that, should be 40.25. Okay. The other way of doing this is to, instead of dividing by 100 at the end, you can divide by 100 here, and you can do like 0.8 times 40, and 0.15 times 41, and 0.05 times 42. And if you do that, all you have to do is add up them. You don't have to do the divide by 100 at the end. So it depends on your preference on how you like to work it out.